Do you ever feel overwhelmed with the growing volume and complexity of data within your organization? Do you spend countless hours trying to integrate disparate data sources together before analyzing them? Well, you're in the right place and you're not alone. At AWS, we built a solution that helps to simplify data management at scale and get insights faster. My name's Kyle Fox, and I'm a program manager here at AWS in Australia. Today, I have the pleasure of sharing a new and exciting solution called Data Manifold that was designed specifically for people early on in their data journey to solve some of these challenges. By the end of the presentation, I'll walk through some real-life examples of how you can use a solution to ingest, transform, and analyze your disparate data sets through an easy-to-use interface. Let's start with some industry data. New Vantage Partners found that 85% of businesses want to become data-driven, but only 37% of them have actually been successful in doing so. Increasingly, data is becoming a strategic asset to organizations. It underpins everything that in business, from how they operate and make decisions to ultimately how they serve their customers. A vast majority of conversations that we have with customers revolve around how they can use data to drive growth, innovation, and improve customer experience. To do so, they have to embark on a journey of modernization. Most companies are on a road to insights, and in order to get there, there are a number of pit stops they'll need to make along the way. Let's talk about what this typically looks like for an analyst day to day. First, they'll need to get all the data that they'll be using in one place, and that takes preparation. In many cases, analyzing data requires merging together multiple data sets. If these data sets have different file types, they'll need to transform them, like relationalizing a JSON document or cleaning up rows and columns. Once they've formatted properly, they'll need to inspect the data to see if there's any sensitive information before providing access to their broader organization. If there are things like emails or credit card numbers in the data set, that means they'll need to enforce governance controls to redact them. Then, after wrangling all the data, they can finally connect it to something that helps to consume it, which might be a table in Excel, or it could be a data warehouse or dashboard. This process can take time, so often businesses are looking for solutions to take care of the heavy lifting. So that's why we built Data Manifold. It's an open source solution designed to simplify the data journey. It has a one-click deployment mechanism, so there's no choices to make on architecture and no platform to build. It's accessed through a standalone user interface that sits outside of the AWS console and abstracts away all the low-level AWS services so that non-technical users can operate it. It's all AWS native and manages the end-to-end data lifecycle, from ingestion to transform and analysis through a SQL query workbench. It's fully managed and automated under the hood, which will minimize maintenance. It also has wizard-based connectors, so the pre-integration is done. Out of the box, we support file upload, S3, Kinesis, along with several other third-party storage and analytics solutions. If you don't see a connector that you'll be using, that's okay. We're looking to our customers to understand what they need, and we'll be building our connector library accordingly. In the meantime, you can just use S3 as your foundation of your data repository. In the app, there is row and column level governance, along with automatic PII detection and redaction. Once you upload a data set, you'll have granular control over access right and visibility to specific attributes. The solution is also open sourced and community driven. It will be made available on GitHub, so there's no licensing associated with it, and it can be flexible to support your individual requirements. That means you can deploy it, fork it, form it to your use case, and contribute directly back to the project. For the purpose of today's demonstration, I want you to use your imagination with me. I want you to pretend that you're John Smith, a business analyst at Doggy Daycare, a fictional online retailer for puppy products. Recently, John has noticed that they've been seeing some sales volatility, and he's unsure why. The head of sales has asked John to investigate what are the factors causing this and report back by the end of the day. Initially, John has a hypothesis that this might be attributed to the rising number of COVID cases. Perhaps, since dog owners are unable to get to the store to buy dog food, they'll be doing most of their shopping online now. To test this hypothesis, we'll use Data Manifold to integrate and analyze 3 different data sets: streaming sales data, site visits, and the recent COVID cases. I've already deployed Data Manifold into my AWS account, so let's jump straight in. To start, I'll first need to create a new domain for the sales team. A domain is a grouping of data sets and shared queries used for team collaboration. These are easily set up by clicking the Create Domain button and adding some descriptive details. Now that we have our domain, I want to start importing data sets we'll be analyzing. In Manifold, we refer to data sets as data products because they'll be processed and made accessible across the organization. The first data set that I want to import is Doggy Daycare site visits, which are captured in an external data warehouse. I'll do this by creating a new data product. I'll call it users, add a few descriptions, then the data source type. This specific data set includes sensitive customer information like user emails. Because I'll be sharing access across the organization, I want to make sure that this gets masked. To do that, I simply enable automatically detect PII, which will detect and redact any sensitive information using our AWS Comprehend machine learning service. Comprehend will pick up any sensitive data over a 90% confidence within 20 different classifications. We then use governance rules, such as hashing, on top of the data, which are applied during query execution. I want to use a query that I've run previously in a data warehouse that I pulled the information from. To do that, I'll copy the query into Manifold's query configuration panel. Once I do this, this will execute the query and return back the results. Along with the query, I'll have to upload the service account details, which will be used to make authorized API calls. Since it is just an ad hoc task, I'll set the data update to be on demand. Before finalizing the import job, it's always a good idea to see what the data looks like beforehand, especially if it's a large data set. Within a few seconds, the schema preview gives me an overview of the schema and sample data. I'm happy with that, so I'll quickly review the steps and save my data product. This will kick off the job to import, transform, and govern the data product. Now that I've imported my site visits data, I want to upload the recent COVID cases. I'm interested to see if there's a relationship between our online visits and COVID cases. I've downloaded a CSV from the Open Data repository that I'll be using to do so. I'll call my second data product COVID cases, select File Upload as a source type, then upload the CSV. The wizard will take me to the preview screen, where I can review the columns and sample data just as before. The preview looks good, but I want to modify the date column. I can do that by using the Transform Planner. The Transform Planner uses built-in glue transformations, like relationalizing JSON, as well as the ability to compile and run custom transformations. I can add code directly here, or upload a script in Python. Let me add one to format the date. Behind the scenes, Data Manifold uses the open source Data Wrangler tool to crawl the schema and then a glue environment to execute all of the transformation scripts. Cool, it looks like the schema has been updated. Let me review the sample data. It looks good to me, so I'll just proceed to save the data product. As soon as the data product is saved, Manifold triggers the creation of dynamic infrastructure for each data product using a CDK stack that executes the lifecycle of importing, crawling, transforming, and applying PII redaction, all orchestrated through step functions. In parallel, Manifold also creates an external table in Athena based on the schema inferred from preview. This also offers an immediate query function that gives the data product owners the ability to query source data seconds after it's been saved. To query the source data, simply click on the Query Default Table button. This will take you to the Interactive Query Workbench, which will allow me to write a simple aggregation of the COVID cases by date. Data Manifold is using AWS Athena, which is a serverless query engine designed for executing ad hoc queries using the SQL syntax. This makes it easy for anyone with SQL skills to quickly analyze large-scale data sets. So here are the results. And I might come back to this, so I'll save the results across the domain for future reference. This will allow others to reuse the query down the road. Our website also streams real-time sales data through AWS Kinesis. Recently, our sales have been spiking, so I want to analyze this against our site visits and COVID cases to see if there's a correlation. To do that, I'll create a third data product for the Kinesis stream that will automatically import new data as it becomes available. Let me go ahead and create a new data product that imports the sales data. I'll call this one Online Sales, configure the stream details, then set the update to be automatic. Let's look back at what we've done. I've created 3 data products so far, one for our online visits, one for the COVID cases, and one for the streaming sales data. Let's wait for them to compile so I can do a deeper analysis. Okay, looks like all the data products are ready to go. Let me run a quick check. For the site visits, the user email field has been detected with sensitive information. I'll just verify this through a query. After running the query, it looks like the user email data has been hashed through our data governance rules. To add or configure governance rules on columns or rows, privileged users can manage that from the governance page, then update them for each user group accordingly. This allows users to define functions to hash or hide columns during the execution phase based on these governance rules. You can also add custom rules and map them to data products manually. For example, Data Manifold detects columns which contain emails during the data imports. When such columns are included in a query, the values are hashed automatically. Manifold then uses user-defined functions to hash columns during the execution phase based on the governance rules. You can also add custom rules and map them to data products. Behind the scenes, Data Manifold parses and rewrites queries using the Presto SQL parser to discover the reference data products and save queries. Governance rules are looked up and mapped to the user-defined functions, then it generates the final query to execute through Athena. With the correct results returned, I'll quickly save the query so I can share this with the rest of the team if further analysis is required. Now I can reference the query by using its name alias. This shows the same result as before, which will make it easier to reference or share later. Now that we have all our data in one place, I'll need to send the findings to our head of sales. He is a visual learner, so I'll use an external dashboarding tool to create some charts. To do that, I'll need to generate a private key that creates a secure access point to the tool. With a few simple steps, now my BI tool is connected to Data Manifold. I can see that the sales domain and 3 data products created moments ago. I'll examine the results from the users table. I can see that both the email is both hash, which shows that the data governance rules have been applied. Now, I'll use the query saved earlier to visualize the report. I can do that by simply copying the query in the custom SQL window. Now, I can add some charts to display the trends and get the report sent off. From this quick analysis, the chart indicates that our online visits are closely related with the COVID cases and sales values. My hypothesis is correct. Hopefully that gives you a taste of Data Manifold and sparked your imagination for how you can use the tool to unify, analyze, and govern your data within your organization. If you're interested in trying it yourself, just request to join our private preview. We're planning on launching publicly later this year, but looking to find pilot customers to provide early feedback. This will help us to determine roadmap priorities and continuously improve the customer experience. Once it's launched, it'll be published in our AWS Solution Library, which is a resource hub for AWS vetted open source solutions, and guidance for business and technical use cases. There are hundreds of solutions available for you to try today, so I encourage you to explore and experiment. Data Manifold is completely open source, and we want to continuously evolve to better serve your needs. So we'd love for you to join the community and contribute back to the project on GitHub. Thank you for your time and attention today. And please don't forget to share your feedback in the following survey. This helps us to continually improve our sessions. Thanks again.